Good evening, mi gente. This is Ray Collazo, and you're watching the Found in Translation talk show. Good evening, mi gente. How are you? I'm having an issue here with excuse me. Good evening, mi gente. This is Ray Collazo, the host of Found in Translation talk show. Yes, no, there was nothing scheduled. You didn't miss a tweet. We normally do the show on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. No script, there's no co-host. But tonight is pretty historic. And I figure between the New Hampshire primary and toda la revolución in Washington, D.C., our justice system is falling apart. So I figured between those two elements, we could have a little chat for a little while. If you guys, I'm going to put in the chat. If you want to join the conversation, again, this is free. This is freestyling. I'm going to put in the chat. This is the link you can jump on. Even if you don't want to be on camera, we could just put you on with the blank screen. We encourage people to join the show because I'm just here to kick it with the friends, talk about what's going on out here. Again, this is Ray Collazo. If you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you for watching and listening to Found in Translation Talk Show, which you can catch on YouTube, podcast, and of course, WPPMLP 106.5 People Power Media, hashtag celebrating the People Power Hour of Power on Thursday night. Much respect to Vanessa Ramirez Graver's 100th episode. But as y'all are watching live, the New Hampshire primaries hasn't been called, but it appears to be we're going to have, roughly speaking, some combination of Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, and Amy Klobuchar in the top three. I think it's pretty clear that Bernie's going to win. Yes, you're right about that, brother. The DOG is forever tainted. There's no question about that. Very sad day in our politics. But it's pretty clear that that's going to be the top three. And so in New Hampshire. And so I wanted to give people's analysis of what that means. What I'm calling on is what we need to do as a community right now to address what's going on with this primary. And then we'll get a little bit into what's going on in Washington, D.C. Of course, thank you again for watching Found in Translation. I don't know why I'm not getting some gain here on my microphone. But anyhow, so this is the situation. So in the top three, you got Sanders, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar in New Hampshire. Very small state. So we're talking 5, 6, 7,000 votes. And we'll talk about the people that didn't finish in the top three in a second. That's right. Well, Charlie, you should jump on. You should jump on. I put the link in the chat. You can jump on your phone if you want. And so I want to say this. Let's put Sanders aside for a second. Buttigieg and Klobuchar are the functions of two dynamics. One is performance, straight up, because really, if you think about it, Buttigieg has the spot in this dynamic that Harris, O'Rourke, Castro, if you want to say Booker, we're going after that sort of that wild card spot in the mix. We knew Sanders and Biden would be in the mix, and with Warren lurking probably as third possibility, right? And so. And when, he went on basic cable, did town halls, did interviews, my man performed. And when Klobuchar in this just did enough to hang in down the stretch, she's performed, particularly on Friday night's debate in New Hampshire, which nobody else watched unless you lived in New Hampshire. But the Clomentum, worked for her. And give her credit. She's and I've always said on the show, she's a strong candidate. Not my preferred candidate, but a strong candidate. And would be a fine president, frankly, at the end of the day. I think the other thing is the demography helped them a lot. If we started with South Carolina and Nevada, Klobuchar and Buttigieg ain't nowhere in the picture. It's, other people are involved. Even potentially Biden would still be breathing. But the reality is these first two states really work for these two. They're very white. Klobuchar, basically neighbors in Iowa there with Minnesota and Indiana, very close. In New Hampshire, another border state to Canada, even whiter than Iowa, if that's possible. And, the vibe fit for them. So they're taking advantage of those two dynamics in this conversation. I think for Bernie, this shows what we've been saying from the beginning. Not only does passion matter, Bernie's ride or dies were always going to be the strongest wild card in this conversation. He always had, whether people want him in or not, he always had the strongest floor. The only debate that we had on the show was, could he rise? What kind of ceiling does he have? Now, that still remains to be seen. Let's keep that real. because even if he's winning, you're talking 27, 20% New Hampshire, which he got 15% more against Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now we'll talk about Bernie in a second. No question about it, Maria. We're going to talk about Bernie in a second. We're going to talk about where we go from here with Bernie, but obviously strong performance, kudos. And the other thing you got to give about Bernie is organization. And it's what I've been saying for the beginning. Not only does he have an excellent organization, not only have that passion, those ride or dies, thinking about our friends like Layla Martinez that went to Iowa, then she took a bus from New York to go to New Hampshire. You can't pay for that kind of passion. But he's been doing this for 4 years. Not only running in 2016, you work out the kinks. When he started in 2016, Bernie with minorities was nowhere to be seen. Let's keep this real. A lot of the sins and the trails and tribulations that Buttigieg and Warren and others are having with people of color, Bernie went through that already and addressed it with his strategy and his campaigning and developing his brand over the last 4 years and cultivating relationships. But also, he put his money where his mouth was. He's been living the lyrics since 2016. And that's the part that people aren't really understanding. He groomed the AOCs. He groomed other progressives to run our country. He gave them money. He invested in a movement. Unlike the moderate wing of the party and someone like a Biden that, of course, did a lot for people, celebrated icon in our community, good vice president, fine. But what's Biden been doing to develop his flavor, his lane of Democratic politics over the last 4 years? Nothing. Getting ready to do this. Maybe. So let's get to the last two. I think we'll talk about Biden in a second. Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's done. I hate to say that. I love Elizabeth Warren. That's my girl. If all these people, if I had to trust them with my will and my belongings and like my, if I had to give any of them what do you call it when you turn over your legal, no question, your legal, power of attorney, of all these people, the person I trust Elizabeth Warren. She wouldn't take no money from me. She'd manage my affairs very well. Bernie Sanders would give it to poor people. Other people may do other things with it, but Warren is top-notch person, top-notch candidate. And I can't completely explain what happened here. Is it misogyny? Is it there aren't enough progressives and they were with the hardcore progressive bloc, never budge from Bernie? I think that's a lot of it. I really can't get it. I think the bottom line is that and I've said it many times on the show. If I put all my friends and all my political people and the people in my life in buckets and said, okay, which group of people that I admire the most is those Warren people. Problem is, I just don't think there's enough of them. You really talk about the more highly educated, ideological people that got their stuff together is kind of a small bucket of us. Most of us are sort of somewhere in the middle trying to get it together. And the curmudgeonliness and the foibles of Sanders, I think, is kind of endearing to some of us because most of us don't have our stuff together. Like our girl Khadija, you need to jump on. Look at that's the link, Khadija. You need to jump on. Vanessa Maria, we got some real good people chiming in here, giving us some conversation. And Khadija, she just don't know anymore. Khadija should jump on. That's the link. You can jump on your phone. Give me a holla. So, and I said it on the Iowa IG. I did. This is down to three people: Bernie, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg. I'm talking about Bloomberg for a second. But my bottom line with Warren is, I just don't see any path for her catching up and getting back in this game because she doesn't have another lane. There isn't like another, other than maybe like a Colorado where you have like a large group of highly educated progressive people that aren't Bernie type people. They're just that demographic, that niche just isn't big enough to catch up to Bernie. And that's the progressive lane that we're having in this conversation. So my heart goes out to Warren. I feel bad. I just think it's downhill. Joey B. Let me put this in perspective. Joe Biden with 9% percentage-wise was closer to the write-ins than he was to Bernie Sanders tonight. I don't care the demographics. I don't care about people in neighboring states. Didn't matter that much for Elizabeth Warren. She only got 9%. You're the vice president of the United States. You're the one with all this experience, all these connections. You were the vice president for Barack Obama. And you get closer to, you're closer percentage-wise to Tulsi? It's a problem. And one of the things that well, he's done pretty much, unless the minority community said we can't, Bernie's too left for us and all went behind Biden like tomorrow. Biden's done, because what's going to happen here is that he's going to, and I saw him in South Carolina tonight. He actually showed a lot of flavor. He was like revived around like a comfort zone kind of situation. So maybe he'll get the fiebre back up. But we're talking about basically 2 weeks from South Carolina. He's going to run out of money. So could he win a nominal victory in South Carolina in a jumbled field with 20%? Maybe. But I don't think 2 weeks of, frankly, kind of almost this patronizing attitude around, well, black people got my back no matter what. Even as mediocre as I am, I don't think that's going to play. I just don't think that's going to play. And he's going to run out of money. So by South Carolina, even if he wins a nominal victory, which I'm not even sure that's going to happen, he won't have enough money really to compete for real Super Tuesday, which is like 3 days later. And that's about money. And there's only going to be 3 people with the money. Like I said, Bernie, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg. Buttigieg, I think, will be in the mix, because I think there has to be a minor alternative. The corporate media, Democratic establishment's really with him. I've been saying this from the beginning. Nobody believed me. But Obama put a chip on the roulette wheel from Buttigieg from the very beginning. En la corazón de Obama, he wanted either Harris, O'Rourke, or Buttigieg to win this nomination. None of y'all wanted to believe me, because look what happened. What was the most important element of Buttigieg's success? The media. Now, he performed. You got to give him that, when others didn't. He stepped it up, but how did he get all this media from the beginning? His media person was Liz Smith from New York. Who's the one who hooked him up? Who hooked Buttigieg, a nobody from the very beginning, when he had no money, nothing? Obama's people hooked him up with Liz Smith. I'm just saying. So they're going to keep Pete in the mix, but having no minority support is ultimately probably what's going to doom him. But I think he's still going to be a factor. I think he's the third person looming that could potentially steal the nomination. But I think it's going to come back to Bernie, Bloomberg, and Buttigieg. Bloomberg is buying everything and everyone. Let's keep it real. For my people out here that aren't in the political game, there are people getting bought off left and right. People I respect, minorities, Democratic people I like a lot, not hating. Is he the worst candidate in the world? He's not the worst candidate in the world. As much as a civil rights people with the stop and frisk and his attitude, people of color, that's such a third rail issue. I feel that. But if you look at the totality of the situation, I'm not saying we could do worse, because that's not what I'm getting at. But the reality is the totality of his platform, there's a lot of good things there that, environmental stuff, his gun stuff. He knows how to manage budgets. I mean, he could run it functionally. But the reality is that that's obviously not in our heart and soul. But what I'm telling y'all is he's going to buy a lot of people off. I'm not saying she's bought off, but I'm just giving y'all information. He just gave Stacey Abrams $5 million for her organization that's doing the voter suppression work. And he's doing an event with her in a few days. Now, I'm not saying Stacey's selling out. I'm not saying that. But I'm just letting y'all know, if she's taking $5 million, and that's Stacey, who we hold in the highest ethical regard here, that would be my candidate for president. Her and Sherrod Brown were the people I wanted to run, frankly. So I say this all the day to follow. I'm saying this is my preamble to my statement that I want people to understand here. So let me put some very excellent comments. People listening to this as a podcast, I want to give Khadija, Vanessa, and some other friends some excellent comments. So let's see here. Khadija Kenner comments, Booker's just smart, Mayor Pete. Of course, fellow Rhodes Scholars. The media lifted his intelligence, book smarts up more than they did for Booker. Both smart guys, no question about it. Vanessa Maria Graber, Bloomberg spent $300 million this quarter. Pocket change for a billionaire. He ain't just a billionaire, girl. He had 10 billion. He got 50, 60 million. When you got 5, 6 billion, giving up 2 is tough. When you got 50, you can give up 7. So the money's just going to keep flowing, my friend. We have friends that see, I'm going to give y'all inside information. I got friends in the business, in the political campaign business, that have been offered $30,000 a month for work, my man. I know someone that was offered $50,000 a month to work with Michael Bloomberg. Now, first off, hands up. I am mad at these people. I'm not saying that to be critical. Us political organizing, political professionals deserve to get paid well. So that's a beautiful thing on some level. But I'm just letting y'all know that's the kind of resources my man is bringing to the table. You're going to see a lot of people you respect, people you're going to be surprised about. I just saw Crisanta Duran, former Speaker of the House, Colorado, fantastic Latina, moderate Democrat, the Democrat, not a super lefty. She just became his regional real director out in the West Coast, Western states. A lot of good people that are surprised. People are surprised are falling in line with my man. So let's keep it real. So this was going to go down. This is any other comments here with my folks here. So this is what I believe we should do. I think Charlie has said something here. Charlie Ramos states, Bernie Sanders has a path to victory with Yang and Bennett out and Warren and Klobuchar politically kneecapped. And Klobuchar and Buttigieg with little or no support within the non-white community. Yeah, no, Amy, this is her moment. But Amy just doesn't have either the money or the diverse appeal. She's a Midwest, upper North political figure. Solid person. Would be, wouldn't be my taste to be president, but wouldn't, could be a functional president that would do a decent job. Kadita Kenner says, in 2024, we have to change the order of these primary caucuses. Good candidates had to drop out way too early. Absolutely agree. So this is what I think we need to do. And I want apuntate in your moleskin, in your journal, because I'm going to be the first person to say it. And I hope that when others say it, these people watching and listening to this, wherever you're listening, will credit Found in Translation, Reiko Yasso, holla at your Puerto Rican, because I'm the first one that's going to say it. This is down to Bernie, Bloomberg, Buttigieg, period. That's it. Buttigieg as an underdog of the, it's really the two, but I think he still has a small chance. The rest of them are done, unless black people said, F it, we're all just going with Biden and he can make his comeback. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that's it. Warren, I feel bad. Of course, the other minority candidates, this system was rigged against them. I feel bad. I can't change that. That's in the past. We have to move forward. So what we need to do, starting with Elizabeth Warren tomorrow, and then going to Julian Castro, other progressives, other candidates of Andrew Yang, Tom Steyer, the progressive wing of this party, the leadership, and the candidate, the leadership of color, need to get behind Bernie right now. Not because I'm a Bernie-crat, not because I love the idea of having someone that calls himself a Democratic Socialist be our candidate. Frankly, I don't. I like him a lot. Don't get me wrong. But he's not ideal. Let's keep it real. Is there anyone that's ideal? Probably not either. So I think the core of this party, where the energy of this party is, where the energy, the anti-Trump hatred, the people that really care about the future of our country, that really see this what it is, an existential threat to our democracy, to our way of life, to the potential of white nationalism making a comeback in this country that none of us thought would ever happen in our lives. What happened in D.C. today, the trouncing of our justice system with Barr's DOJ intervening in the Roger Stone sentencing proceedings, and several Trump-appointed senior attorney general, U.S. attorneys in Washington, D.C. resigning on the spot because this is a total trampling of our civil liberties, our justice system. The people that really care about that are not these moderates. Because if they really cared about that, they'd be with us already. All this flakiness, and I'm not sure who the candidate's going to be. It depends who it is. I don't know if it's Bernie. I might go for Trump. Those people are going to vote for Trump because they will find any reason to support him, because obviously this is not they're not feeling like this is impacting them like that. So the people that really care about our future, the people that really care about what's possible, that really believe, forget like blocking this guy. Of course, we have to do that, but like moving forward together in a positive way and tackling the real issues that impact us, like the opioid crisis, like income inequality, like student debt, like the climate change. I mean, we hasn't snowed in Philly all year, all winter. I mean, my kids are going crazy because it hasn't snowed a flake. The people that really care are young people, progressives, people of color, And that coalition, we have to stop everything we're doing now, acknowledge what happened. I feel sorry for Elizabeth Warren. I don't know why this happened. We'll have to, but we have to stop. We have to do this now. Because if not, Bloomberg's going to overtake us, or the corporate Democratic establishment is going to stuff Buttigieg down our throat. So I'm calling on all of us to understand what cards we've been dealt at this moment. And again, it starts with Elizabeth Warren. She's really the key to this whole the first domino that had to fall. Now, hey, I'm sorry. Breaks my heart to say this. I know she still got some money in the bank. Didn't really have enough for Super Tuesday, but that's another story. She need to transfer that money to Bernie, and let's get a commitment from Bernie. He's going to pick a strong black female to be the VP. I think it should be Ayanna Presley because Stacey Abrams is playing games with Bloomberg. Let's keep it real. And I think we just need forward rock and roll with this and slap Bernie around when he gets out of line, he gets too flaky, and figure this out. We got to do this now. Because I'm telling you, Bloomberg is going to buy a lot of people off. People that you wouldn't expect could be bought off. He's got tens of billions, my friends. So that's what I think we should do. I hope people I'd love to see some comments. Vanessa Maria Graber on the chat says, the media coverage is extremely problematic as well. The way they have ignored progressives and people of color is detrimental to democracy. I agree with you 100% on that, Vanessa. They don't serve the public interest by providing equal access and unbiased reporting. Watch the framing of Iowa and New Hampshire, more censorship and agenda setting to come. You know, it's so true because the number of people voting in New Hampshire is like, I mean, Philly elections get more voters out. You know, I DM'd someone that ran for Philadelphia City Council at large. Yes, a few hours ago, and I shared with this person. I think that person got more votes when they lost in a Democratic primary for City Council at large than Biden's going to get tonight. I think it's literally the case. I think that person got more votes. So we're talking about such small numbers that make this big narrative, but these are the cards that we've been dealt. So I think we all need to get behind Bernie right now, because if not, we're going to get an option that's not going to sit with us, and that lack of enthusiasm is going to cost us in November. You're listening and watching Ray Collazo, Found in Translation. I appreciate my ride or die sticking to me, watching what's going on. Appreciate the commentary. This is a couple quick hits. If someone doesn't jump on, then we'll wrap it up early. But, you know, I did want to comment quickly on the fact that people have not seen in the news that Trump's DOJ has intervened and disagreed with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. district with the sentencing recommendations of the prosecutors in the Roger Stone case. This is someone that, you know, flaunted, fully disregarded the criminal justice system and refused to cooperate with our federal agents and federal law enforcement. And so they were recommending 7 to 9 years, which, you know, for an older cat's a life sentence, basically. And now Barr in his criminal operation there, the Roy Cohn of this era, have jumped in and said, no, we want less. And now people have resigned. And now Trump is attacking a federal judge blatantly on social media. If I went on social media and had a big following and attacked a federal judge, I would have already been arrested. So we're talking about and if we're talking about the day-to-day function of Washington, the budget, which isn't going to ultimately get passed, but the budget that Trump's administration proposed a few days ago would cut Medicaid, cut SNAP, would cut all kinds of programs for poor people, housing, would be a total assault on working people, poor people in this country. And of course, these programs disproportionately impact people of color. And so and then of course, there's been a lot of reporting that the Trump administration is blocking more aid to Puerto Rico for disaster relief. So this is someone that day to day is attacking us on every plank: our civil liberties, our criminal justice system, our Constitution. You know, while he is trying to cut health care and trying to eliminate pre-existing conditions in federal court, they got passed a few years ago, over $1 trillion of tax cuts, 80% of which went to the wealthiest people. And all of y'all watching this paid more in federal taxes than Amazon did this year, is going to pay this year. So this is a total assault on our society, a total assault on our Constitution. because we're a very wealthy country and because of modern technology and because of all these young people not working for very high wages, we have our top lines are relatively strong. And for a cohort of our country, the 401k is looking pretty good. Of course, they look pretty good with Obama too. But again, it's feeding into what they want, which is they want to justify in their minds supporting this evil. So that's what's going on. Kadita Natasha Kenner. One day I will have Kadita on the show. I ask her basically every week to be on the show. Kadita Kenner, for those that don't know, is a Pennsylvania activist who's just fantastic. She's been really the face of the raise the minimum wage movement in the state of Pennsylvania with my homie Jeff Garrish. I think they're the two faces, right? Bar must be removed immediately. So much for the rule of law. I hope Stone's sentencing judge, an Obama appointee, is under protection and has a spine of steel. Hashtag courts matter. My dad, the original Ray Collazo, chimes in on the chat. I truly agree with everything you're saying. Bernie all the way. Would Bernie be enough? I'm not sure. That's a question. That's a legitimate question. So again, in summation, what an incredible historical night. We have had a couple of amazing weeks. It appears, again, I've been in front of my TV the last 20 minutes, but from all indications, all trends, it appears that Bernie Sanders is going to finish some rough order. Maybe Buttigieg steals at the very end, but Bernie, Buttigieg, Klobuchar. It's clear to me that this is going to come down to Bernie Sanders and Michael Bloomberg, with potentially Buttigieg being there as the plan B for the moderate wing and the corporate media folks. If Bloomberg collapses once he actually has to campaign and talk to people or gets cooked in a debate, but he's got a lot of money. He's got an unprecedented amount of money. You've just never seen. If everyone gets paid off, then and he literally has enough money to do that. He could resolve the debt of Puerto Rico with his money. I mean, this is kind of money what man's talking about, and we'd have some extra for the Fiesta Patronale. Newer stage. We could bring the bigger bands. So there's a lot. So I'm calling on, and I hope nobody steals this because I was the first one. Starting with Elizabeth Warren, sister, we know through misogyny and the media, we know you got a raw deal in this whole situation. You're a fantastic candidate. You would make an excellent president. I feel so bad. But Senator Warren, you have to be the first one. It's not in the cards for you. It's not in the cards for you, my friend. You have to be the first one to say, you know what? Progressives, people of color, we need to get behind Bernie right now. Because if we don't, we're going to have this meandering process, which may end up with some guy that, again, has some strong points, but literally is on tape saying, we got to put more cops in Black and Latino neighborhoods because that's where the crime is. And you know what? If we arrest them more and harass them more, there's less likely they're going to walk around with guns. Which, by the way, last time I checked, walking around with a gun is legal. There's legal processes for that. So what? If we can't walk around with guns, white men walk around with guns all over the place. They strap them on. In some states, they walk around open, carry machine guns. No problem. So, and again, I think that's what it's going to come down to. So the question that I have for everybody is what we're going to do about it. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Nevada. Of course, the Latino piece will be in full display. I may have some interesting content to share with you all about Nevada. You'll find out about that next week. I got connections. That is the official West Coast home, second home of the Collazo brand, Las Vegas. We got a lot of love for our folks out there. Andres, Marco, and all of our friends in the 702. And then, of course, South Carolina comes into play. Let's see how patronizing Joe Biden will be to Black people in South Carolina for the next 2 weeks, because he's going to put a lot of pressure on y'all. He's going to put all his eggs in that basket. And I just hope that this process with the Black community in South Carolina is respectful, because this idea of, well, you got to vote for me because I'm Joey B. You got to vote for me because I was Obama's wingman. This could very easily come off very patronizing. And I fear that the Black community is not going to get its just due from a respect perspective in this. I just want Latinos to get some attention in this process. So if it's Vegas, it's Vegas. Let's get it popping. Shout out to Carlos Cardona. If you've seen him in the news, Carlos Cardona is a Puerto Rican that lives in New Hampshire that has gotten a lot of, he's a state representative in New Hampshire who's gotten a lot of attention for his activism in, has gotten a lot of attention. So Carlos has agreed to be on this week's regular show, which you're going to see Thursday night. So that's very exciting. And there was another shout out I wanted to do. Anyway, we'll get to, I got to sip on a little water because, we got to be healthy. My man, the math man. CO2. Andrew Yang dropped out of the race tonight, people. Yang Gang brought a lot to the table, a lot of fun, a very different approach. I really like Andrew Yang a lot. I like the way he thinks about things. It's very different than I am. He's very scientific. I think we need that kind of these fresh ideas in politics. And you know what? He brought that Asian American, like, I don't get two F's. Like, it's all good. Like, we cool. Flavor. I like Andrew Yang a lot. Much respect to Yang Gang. I thought they brought a lot to the table. I love the passion. So I hope Andrew Yang stays in the game. I hope he jumps in with Bernie, because I think we just need to coalesce and with all the people of similar minds and just get on the same train at this point now. And I hope the Yang enthusiasts, including some family of mine, stay involved, because they're a very good group out there. Quirky thinkers, but we need that quirk in the mix. So I appreciate my ride or dies here. What is Vanessa Maria? Vanessa's on a rampage here with the chat. Thank you, Vanessa. Keep it coming. Vanessa Maria Graber chimes in, who's the executive producer of the radio program, the radio version of the show, which you can listen to on 106.5 FM, WPPMLP, People Powered, hashtag People Powered Media in Philadelphia, and on the TuneIn app. The idea of two billionaires as our choices for president is truly the definition of choosing the lesser of two evils. We have to get Latinx, African Americans, and young people to vote, educate, organize, and mobilize. Well, the only thing I would say to that is I have to quote Mr. Bloomberg, because he would say to you, Vanessa, who's the other billionaire? But your point is very well taken. This is very dangerous precedent that we would be setting. And that's why, again, you know me. I mean, I'm very friendly, like Bernie's ethos, good guy, who definitely fight for us. I don't agree with everything. I'm not quite that left. I'm just being honest. But we got to keep it real, but we got to get behind my man Bernie right now, because that's the best shot we got to get this on the right track. Appreciate y'all, fam. Appreciate my ride or dies. Pamela Polanco, I haven't talked to in many years, is laughing. Let me know what made you laugh, Pamela, so I can keep telling that kind of humor. I appreciate you. Vanessa's laughing. All these people are laughing. I appreciate you putting a smile on some people's faces. Thank y'all for joining this impromptu edition of the show. Continue to support Found Translation. You know, it'd be nice to get some nice reviews on iTunes for the podcast people. It would help. I got a lot of popularity, a lot of fanaticada, but we could get more comments. So if you could subscribe to the podcast version of the show or the YouTube channel, whatever, just a little feedback would be very appreciated. And again, we will have a show after Vanessa's party on Thursday. We will have a show on Thursday evening. Thank you all so much for watching the post New Hampshire primary hashtag WTF in DC edition, the Found Translation, and have a great evening. Peace.